So I wanted to address this, and it's just a lot easier for me to make a video versus just typing it all out. So the prices of vintage gear and performance. First of all, the human. I'm just going to put this out there, squash it right away. The human ear cannot reliably detect anything under 1% THD. Okay, and most of, if not all of the stuff in the 70s, like receivers, I'm talking Marantz, Pioneer, Sansui, any integrated amplifier, whatever brand, you name it. All of this stuff is well below 1 THD, and these are specs that they were using. Even though the human ear can't even really reliably detect anything under 1%, all of the 70 stuff performs extremely good. Okay. Uh, as far as signal to noise ratio and all that other stuff, dampening, it varies. And a lot of the stuff in the 70s had like its own character too. I think it was they were voiced that way. They weren't really as a lot of the modern stuff is super neutral, and so it's real hard to tell the difference between two modern amplifiers or receivers or you name it. All the modern stuff just sounds really similar. The older stuff is not that way. You know, you put a 2235B next to a Sansui 6060, for example, which were competitors, they don't sound the same. Same thing with like a Pioneer 780 versus a Marantz or a Sansui 5000 or a KR 9600, like the units that I got, or any of the many units that I've serviced. I'm here to tell you that vintage gear is, most of the time, it's a steal, especially even if you have to put money into it, because most of it's hand built. They were made on an assembly line in Japan in the 70s or the 60s, or even the US made stuff is pretty good stuff too. But yeah, I mean, you're not paying a whole lot for a hand built Japanese Marantz or a San. If you really look at the big picture, you're not really paying a lot, because to get something that is that level of quality, modern, you're going to be spending a lot more than $1,000. I mean, if you look at AccuPhase, which is probably the closest thing we have, or the newer Yamahas, they're kind of that similar type. Even the topology is kind of similar. They're like $8,000, $8,000 to $10,000. AccuPhase, some of that stuff's insanely expensive, but that's like the quality, right? You look inside of a Marantz or the Sansui, the Pioneer, the wiring's like very carefully laid out. All the components are put in there by hand. And when you go and restore these things, you're putting modern capacitors that have better heat, and transistors that have better heat dissipation, better transistors now that, you get rid of all those noisy transistors that are well past their prime. The thing is going to perform just as good, if not better, than a modern amplifier. And you're getting it for, most of the time, half of what you can get a similar modern unit for. Okay. So it's not just nostalgia. The vintage gear is legitimately good. Okay. And then it's beautiful. First of all, it's beautiful. To manufacture something of that quality, like the beautiful aluminum brushed face plates and like the aluminum knobs, and try getting that stuff manufactured now. Okay. And not charging a ton of money. It's just not going to happen. So it's not just nostalgia. They're actually legitimately good. And I would say comparing it to modern cars isn't really fair, because I deal with that too. And it's not really fair, because modern cars and, stereos are not the same thing. They're totally different. And automotive technology has advanced quite a lot, and amplifier technology really hasn't, other than like Class D, which is a whole nother conversation. That's another thing. A lot of the modern amplifiers, you're not getting the schematic. You're not getting the service information. It's a throwaway item. They want you to buy another one, unless it's a super high dollar unit, then they want you to send it in and get it fixed at their dealer or whatever, or their service center. But the old vintage stuff, man, they came with their schematics. They came with the service manual. So that way they can keep it going for another 50 years. And most of these are still working after 50 years. They all pretty much need a recap at this time, but they're not working the way they were. But once you get them stored, they're really good. So, and a lot of YouTubers and stuff will try to say that their blue light specials or whatever, they're frankly, they're just morons that are saying this. Yeah, they're not techs. They're not people that have any kind of idea. Yeah, the newer stuff is nice. It is nice, but there is a reason why the vintage stuff is still worth something, you know. And I would argue that it's cheaper than modern stuff. I mean, yeah, you can buy Chi-Fi for really cheap. I'm not into that. I'm not really into the Chi-Fi stuff. I buy some Chi-Fi, like I have a Duke Audio power amp at work that I use for listening, but any of my serious stuff, like I'm not gonna mess with the Chi-Fi. But you know, if that's you, that's you. I don't have a problem with that. It's your system. But anyway, yeah, vintage stuff. It's legitimately good. It's not just nostalgia.